Hey guys, I want to. Somebody asked me a question about how many reps are sufficient. So that topic is, I want to address that, and it's kind of a tough one because it's going to be different in every circumstance, more or less. It's going to be a variable that depends on what you're out to accomplish and where you're currently at along that route. If you're just starting out, my advice is I would stick to basic compound movements, very basic compound movements. I think that the isolation work, not saying you can't use some of the machines. You can use some of the machines. You could use like the horizontal chest press type machines, either the selectoralized ones or the plate loaded leverage type machines. You could use all these kind of machines, incline, overhead press, for legs, of course, your leg extensions and leg curls, and you can even use, the leg press machines and the various types of even squat type machines that they have out there, some leverage machines. All these things are fine just starting out, but what I'm talking about is I don't think I'd spend a lot of time as a beginner on things like, I don't know, specific isolation type shit like cable crossovers, or I don't think I'd mess around with a whole lot of cables, where I've got a handle in my hand at all, if I were just starting out. I think that's it's not counterproductive, but I think it's a whole bunch of stuff that you probably don't need. And overtraining, of course, a lot of people are going to say there's no such thing as overtraining, there's just undereating. And I kind of am a guy that believes a lot in that to a degree. Now, you can go crazy and go overboard, and you can have your diet on point and everything, you can still overtrain. And again, that's going to depend on where you're at, how old you are, how long you've been training. Bodybuilding, just the repetitive tearing down and rebuilding of these muscles, just the muscle fibers, just these micro tears over and over and over continually for a period of who knows how long, is very, very hard on you. It's hard on your body. I think that it's one of the hardest things you can do to your body. I think it's harder on your body than, say, powerlifting. Because powerlifting, these guys are basically one and done, and they're not concerned, your typical powerlifter, if he's specifically just concerned with strength, he's probably not concerned, or guys that I know haven't been, not really particularly concerned with building muscle mass, hypertrophy. In fact, they want to weigh less as they can and still push as much weight as possible. A lot of guys. So what they do, I think, is not as hard on the body as bodybuilding. And that's why I think many powerlifters can very easily switch over to bodybuilding. Regardless of what their appearance is, they can look like they're carrying a lot of body fat and a lot of water. But they can come over to bodybuilding and switch everything up, diet up, and likewise, and look phenomenal and have very good success. An awesome looking physique, plenty of muscle because they have plenty of muscle under there, and they've built a hell of a foundation from all of the compound movements that they do. From just the majority of the compound movements and just the heavy weight, they've built like an incredible foundation. And then when they start to throw in this isolation stuff, they really can finish it off. But guys that are bodybuilders, lifetime bodybuilders, and then they decide to cross over into powerlifting, I think that's very, very risky. Not saying that it can't be done and some guys can't do it, because some guys can do it. Again, it's a genetic thing, right? And it has to do with age. But if a guy's been bodybuilding for over a decade, 2 decades, for him to seriously switch over to powerlifting and really try and go hard with heavy weight, I think that's courting injury. I think he's going to be much more prone to injury than the reverse, than a guy coming from powerlifting into bodybuilding. I think the guy from powerlifting to bodybuilding is going to have a great deal of success versus the guy from bodybuilding getting into powerlifting. I know a lot of guys train, as I did, somewhere in between the two, mainly as a bodybuilder, but I had a lot of friends that were powerlifters, very successful world champions, record holders, and just big guys, strong guys. And I can say this, when I trained in that period of time, I was never any thicker as far as dense, more muscle density. than I have today. More muscle density than I'll probably ever be able to achieve again due to all the injuries I have, my age, the wear and tear on my connective tissue now from the bodybuilding. It would be really, really hazardous for me just to try and throw a bunch of weight on something and move it around. Back in the day when I trained with a lot of those guys and I did some of that, it showed in my physique. It made me very, very dense and very, very thick and very heavily muscled. Much more than just my typical bodybuilding workout does or can. So let me get back to where I was. If you're starting out, I would say stick to the basic compound type movements. I would absolutely, if you're just beginning, you may want to begin a little bit on the machines, just to get a little feel for things, to get a little things started, okay? Then as quickly as you can, move into the free weights and stick with your basic compound movements. Bench, deadlift, and squat. But the amount of weight is absolutely secondary. Hear that steam train? I don't know if you guys can hear that. Steam train coming by. Anyway, if the amount of weight should be of second consideration. Form and performing the movement properly is imperative when you first begin. You need to learn how to do this movement correctly, especially with things like deadlifts and squats. These are exercises that if you haphazardly throw a bunch of weight on, you can very much seriously injure yourself. So if you're just starting out, if you're an older guy just starting out particularly, especially younger guys, you can bounce back from a lot of stuff, but you can still hurt yourselves. Older guys, we have to be very, very careful. If you're just starting out, take it slowly. Anything that you do is going to be more than your body's used to doing, and you will see a positive response from that. And do things incrementally. That's how we achieve these things, incrementally. Just enough is enough. Just enough is enough. Okay, in the beginning, just enough is enough. And when it's not, then you have somewhere to go. You step it up. And if you do it correctly, you've got plenty of steps you can take. So you don't end up plateaued with nowhere to go. It's kind of like with cardio. You step it up incrementally as you need to keep things moving along. So I wouldn't be concerned with anything with a cable. That's just my opinion, just starting out. Now I know I see a lot of guys just starting out, they want big arms. They're right over there on these cables. They're doing press downs. They're doing curls on these cables. I'm going to say that I think that you guys are kind of beating your head against the wall when you do this. You're kind of slowing progress up. You're going to make progress, no question. But I think if you left all that out and you just did free weight movements, you know, with dumbbell extensions, either lying down or standing up over your head, or even one, two-handed dumbbell extension behind your head, heavy dumbbell. That's an awesome overall mass builder, just incredible mass builder. Close grip benches for triceps, curls. I don't like the cambered bar, the zigzag bar. I don't like that position. The more you supinate that wrist, the more you turn that wrist outward, the greater rise you get out of that bicep, right? That bicep, you get more rise if you turn that wrist outward. If you turn that wrist outward, the bicep comes up. See it? I don't know if you can see it really well there, but that's what you want. So I like straight bar. Straight bar curls for mass, I think, are the way to go. If it aggravates your shoulder or hurts something in your wrist, then do what you got to do. But I would stick to free weights initially. Some rep ranges, I would keep them just starting out. In the beginning, I would keep the rep ranges about, I don't think I'd go any lower than 10 or 12. Not just starting out, not beginning. You'll know when it's time to do a little more. I think I would keep the rep ranges between no less than 10 or 12 and no more than probably 15. So that's a pretty tight rep range, 10 to 15 reps. This is just starting out, and we're talking free weights. That's going to be sufficient to get things moving. Now, if you're really overweight and you're just starting out, again, I would stick to the machines a little longer, and I would go lighter with higher reps. Like if you're doing leg extensions, for instance, I would go so light and maybe do, if you're really feeling your Wheaties that day, go over 15 reps, maybe hit 20 with light weight. But again, I'm thinking I would stick in the 12 to 15 rep range. I think 12 or 15 reps is good just beginning. As you move on in advance, it's going to be self-evident. You're going to know what you need to do and where you need to be. And as an advanced guy, I like a wide variety of reps. I'll go as low as 6 or 8 reps sometimes when I'm not really hurt. And I'll go as high as 30, believe it or not. I like a wide variety. Less is more. The further down the ladder you are, as you're just starting out and moving up, when you get to where I am, I can beat the muscle up pretty good. But I'm very careful. If you're just beginning, less is more. You don't want to be in there too long. You can very easily overtrain. You can overtrain. You don't understand your nutrition yet. You're not on board yet. And overtraining definitely suppresses testosterone production, natural testosterone production. And you only have one nervous system. So if you're going to work 6-7 days a week, that nervous system never rests. It's very easy to overtrain, even though you're doing different body parts. So you don't want to do that. I would say probably maybe train 3 days a week, just beginning. Break your body down into that 3 to 4 days a week, no more, just beginning. Get your water on there, gallon of water a day at least, minimum, good multivitamin, and start to figure out what the fuck your diet should be. Okay, so I hope that helps a little bit. Rep ranges and what's sufficient.